Don't hide from the person you were. Improve upon the person you are. Okay, don't hide from the person you were. Improve upon the person you are. And what do I mean by that? Bam. Yo, what is up, everybody? This is the End-to-End Podcast. I'm your host, Dr. Young Win, and as you know, they call me the Ninja. You can call me the Ninja too. This is the End-to-End Podcast, the Alpha to the Omega, the beginning to the end, talking about life, motivation, drive, entrepreneurship, success, inspiration, and offering you little morsels in this all-you-can-eat buffet called life. Back in the studio, excited to be here. Again, I always want to start my podcast with gratitude because gratitude is the attitude to win in life. And so I want to say thank you to all my supporters, people that like, comment, and especially share the podcast. You all know, or if you're new to the podcast, I do this on my own dime. I do this on my own time. So no sponsor. So this is entirely on me. And so the only way to grow this audience is if this podcast and all the ones prior is to be shared. And so I like to say, if your knowledge swole, share the show. That's how we grow. If your knowledge swole, share the show. That's how we grow. So I want to say thank you to all of our followers and listeners internationally, because this is heard around the world. And that is inspiring to me, or it drives me, because our mission is to share good vibes, good news, good positivity, good inspiration to billions across the planet. That is the reason why I started this podcast. So excited to be here today. This one may be a little brief. I'm not sure, only because I am in the middle of preparing for a pretty big trial. And so, as if you heard me at the beginning of the year, consistency is key in 2023. That's my motto this year. So I could have kicked this one down the curb the next week, but we haven't missed a week of broadcasting this podcast since last March. So we're coming up on almost a year, and we've done it every single week. So in order to be consistent, I could have mailed it in and said, look, Joe, I got to prepare for this big case. We might be going to trial. So, let's kick it down the line. But nope, I'm here. So it might be brief, but I'm not too sure. Let's find out. But consistency is key in 2023. It's one of those things where if you have that motto or that theme in mind, it helps you stay focused when you're starting to waver in your position or your stance. So if consistency is key in 2023, then got to get after it and get in here. But to the point of this podcast, I want to talk about today, which is the theme being, don't hide from the person you were. Improve upon the person you are. Okay, don't hide from the person you were. Improve upon the person you are. And what do I mean by that? Listen, everybody's got skeletons in their closet. That's without question. I've got skeletons in my closet, which I'm actually writing about in a book I'm preparing. But everybody has got a skeleton or two or many in their closets. And what I mean by that is there's no life operating manual. Like if you buy a car or something, highly technical, there's an operating manual. It tells you how to do things, troubleshoot if something's not working, follow these steps, check these things. And at worst case, you can call customer service and they'll walk you through your issues. Life has nothing like that. Life is a learning process as you go, which makes it difficult. And in that, it would be unrealistic to expect that you would live life perfectly. No one lives life perfectly. We're all learning as we go, right? And sometimes people make the wrong step. They do the wrong thing. However dramatic, it could be a little bit off or it could be really, really wrong. And it sets them off course. So everyone has that. We're all children of God or the universe, and nobody is perfect. That would be an impossible quest, an impossible achievement. And if You ever encounter somebody across your life that says they're perfect, have never done anything wrong, have never made a misstep, then that person is lying and untrustworthy, because everybody has a skeleton in their closet, or 2 or 3 or 4. Okay. Life is not black and white. It's a lot of shades between black and white, mostly in the gray. And some people, the goal is try to live it on the white, but that's unachievable, unrealistic. Most people live in the gray, and sometimes people step into the darker shades of gray and sometimes into the black, where they get into a lot of trouble. But most of the time it's there because, again, there's no operator's manual, right? There are laws that shouldn't be broken. Of course, those are kind of the boundaries. And there are also moralistic values that, depending on your faith or your background or your culture, that, you try to stay within the lines of. But nobody lives perfectly all the time throughout their lives, always within the boundaries. That's unrealistic. And as the older you get, the more you understand this. And so what I mean by saying don't hide from who you were, but improve upon who you are, is because whatever skeletons you have in the closet, whatever's been in the past, it's in the past. Nothing's going to change that. And that's something that is very hard. It's easy to understand, but very hard to live by. Many people, I don't know a percentage, but I'm guessing the majority of people live in the past. They may have fucked up somewhere, did something wrong, and they just roll over that moment over again and again and again in their head. And they're in a way trying to suppress it or address it or try to resolve it, which you should, to move forward, but you can't stay there. You can't hide from it. And that's what a lot of other people do. They just ignore the past, right? So the idea here is that don't hide from it, address it, but you got to move forward. You got to move forward from whatever mistakes you made, whatever missteps, no matter how shallow or deep or right or wrong, just you got to get past it and move forward and improve upon who you are. So don't hide from who you were, improve upon who you are. And why do I say improve upon who you are? Listen, as you go up this stair step of success, you're going to come across people who are more successful, but who also may need to work with you, or you may need to work with them. And they will evaluate you as, they won't specifically evaluate you like a job application, but in networking and moving in circles through conversation, they're going to figure out who you are, and they're going to come to know who you were. Okay. So the reason you need to improve upon who you are and not hide from who you were is because if you've made mistakes, which we all have, that's going to come up in conversation. And people, rightfully or wrongfully, are going to judge you by that. Not judge you as a person, but judge you as to whether they can what? Work with you. How you can add value to what their goals are, and vice versa. So this is what typically happens in my mind. And this is just through personal experience when I meet somebody that I would look to potentially work with. And trust me, I've come across all types of people. Really bad history. Some of them would appear pristine, okay? I'm looking at them not on who they were. Who they were or what they did or what mistakes they did only, to me, establishes a baseline. Okay? So let's say if they did something really, really outrageously bad, I look at them who they are now, and their past establishes the baseline from which I work off of. So it may be that who they are now is a reliable person who has humility, who gets stuff done, is dependable, who is not selfish and looks out for others first, who's a giver more than a taker. That's who they are now. But their history and their past, if it was bad, that raises flags to me, such as, can I really trust them? Have they learned from their past? Have they adjusted and made corrections in who they are? Because if they have, then that tilts my judgment on whether I want to work with them towards the positive. But let's say they have all these good characteristics, but they haven't learned from their past. Now that puts me on alert. Like, maybe I can work with them, but I got to keep an eye on them. Now, if they just had this past and none of the qualities in the present, then I wouldn't work with them at all. Okay? Similarly, in contrast, let's say somebody that I'm looking to prospectively work with has an absolute pristine, unblemished history, so to speak, at least as far as I know. I mean, actually, and in current terms, in the present, they appear to be trustworthy, reliable, dependable, so on, all the good characteristics I'm looking for, right? If it's too pristine, I'm asking myself, how or why? Are they putting on a front that they're really trying to hide something behind? So it puts me on more alert on whether on trustworthiness of this individual. Because what I want to actually know are, what are the flaws? And what have you learned from them? What are the mistakes you've made? How have you improved off of that? That actually carries more value than trying to show an unblemished past. Right? Because that means you haven't lived life hard enough if you've not made a mistake. I go back to a basketball analogy. In high school basketball, they give you 5 fouls, right? And I always tell my boy and my players that if you finish the game with no fouls, you didn't play hard enough. You get 5 of them. And you get 4 fouls and you still get to play in the game. Right? Use them. Use them. Right? If you fouled out of the game on all hustle plays, all the better, because you pushed it to the max. Right? So if somebody comes in with an absolute pristine background, I'm asking how or why. Because I really, it raises more doubt than the person who has the checkered past, but comes in and addresses it. So that's why you don't hide from who you were. Right? And that's how people evaluate you. Again, if I'm looking to work with somebody, I'm looking at reliability, dependability. Do they get shit done, or are they all talk? Trustworthiness, giver. Are they looking out for others before themselves? Are they paying attention to details? All these things are what I'm evaluating in the present. And then I'm looking at their past as the baseline of where I start with this person, as the first building block of a potential business or working relationship. Right? So what does that mean? Don't hide from your past. Improve upon who you are now. Don't hide from who you were, but improve upon where you're now. And that is where it matters. That's why things like 75 hard matter. That's where discipline matter. That's where building the consistency matters. That's where learning humility and gratitude and all these values that I talk about on this podcast matter, because all those things are improving upon who you are now, right? Understanding that, setting that high standard. And that's another thing I look at is what is the standard this person sets for themselves? Because how you set the standard for yourself is what, in a working type environment, what the standard you're going to expect from others. So if you set a high standard and you expect others to have a high standard, you're trying to pull people up to the next level. If you personally have low standards, you cut corners, don't pay attention to details, just do the good enough. I can't work with that. And most high achievers, most successful people can't. Not saying that I'm successful, but what I have observed, most high achievers cannot accept that. They only work with people that have high standards. So, improving upon yourself, setting that bar for yourself in discipline, consistency, dependability, action, giving, gratefulness, humility, all these characteristics allows you to what? move up in that circle, in that network of success. Remember, I think podcast number 2 or 3, where I talk about you become those who you spend the most time with, the 5 or 6 people you spend the most time with, you become. So you want to elevate your network in your circle. Hopefully you pull your family and friends with you up, or they are already up there and you're trying to get up there yourself. Then you work on who you are, or you continue to work on who you are and keep elevating that network of success. That doesn't mean you forget all the people behind. You remember them too, but in terms of achievement, business, and success, you gotta not hide from who you were and improve upon who you are now. Okay? That is the lesson. Everybody's got skeletons. Everybody's got issues from the past. We cannot hide. We cannot suppress. We cannot not address. We can't not learn from them. You have to face them and learn from them. And better yet, verbalize what you've learned from them in these new relationships. Because sooner or later, inevitably, in whoever's evaluating you, their due diligence, they're going to uncover shit. They're going to uncover shit. Dig deep enough and you will always find something from anybody. Okay? The key is when it matters, you need to be able to address it, express what you've learned from it, express how you've changed from it, and then show how you've improved upon it and how you're improving upon yourself as the person you are. Okay? So one more time, don't hide from who you were, but improve upon who you are. And that is the lesson of today. Wish me luck on this trial if we get called. It's a huge case. I really want to help the family that this affected. But this was a short one, but it was something that I had to get off my chest as I was contemplating. The one last point on this, though. I have met and observed and have had business relationships with people with extremely hardcore past, talking about jail, just bad things. And they changed and did a 180. And they are extremely successful people now. And why is that? It's because they became a better person in the present. They became all those qualities and characteristics in the present. So I needed to say that before closing out this podcast episode, is that there are people with extremely bad pasts who are multimillionaires, multi-billionaires in today's world because they didn't hide from who they were. They addressed the issues, learned from the mistakes, improved upon themselves, improved upon who they are now, continue to improve upon who they are now, and build their empire from there. So it is doable for every one of us, every single one of us. Okay, so wish me luck on this trial. It's great to get in the studio, even though real quick, consistency for me is key in 2023. If you're knowledge swole, share the show. It's how we grow. Thank you very much for listening, and I am looking forward to bringing you a fuller episode of the End-to-End Podcast. Again, like, comment, share. And if you have any questions, please do email them in, ask@the2ndpodcast.com, or just leave a comment in any one of my socials on Instagram or YouTube. End-to-End Podcast, just do a search for that. Like and follow, share. Looking forward to bringing you another episode very, very soon. What's up?